Those who have been following the channel know that I got in a brand new Linux tower to edit YouTube videos. As someone who grew up with computers starting literally with 2-bit processors and ending up with the most powerful CPU that AMD makes at this time, I've had to do some tweaking here and there on the software. Let me take you along as I climb below the surface and jiggle the innards of one of the softwares. Hi, I'm Scott Boehm. They call me the Old Farmer. With my getting a new Linux computer, I knew it will take me about 3 months to get everything the way that I want it. I got the computer from currentbuild.com. I'll leave a link so that you can do some window shopping if you want. They will build a computer any way that you want, but they are primarily a Linux shop. But yes, you can get a Windows computer from them if you want. After copying everything over, I got down to the nitty-gritty job of going under the hood and making the adjustments I needed so that the computer will act the way that I want it. With Linux, you would be surprised on the amount of adjusting that can be done. I'm using Linux Mint. Most adjustments can't be done in Windows or with an Apple computer. You would just have to live with the annoyances. With Linux, you can tweak to your heart's content. Do you know how most folks like the layout of Windows XP and have hated all the following versions of Windows? This is called the desktop environment, and in Linux there are about 10 different desktop environments that you can choose. For simplicity's sake, if you want the old XP desktop, then when downloading Linux, use the Mate or Mate version. If you like Windows 10, then download GNOME. If you have an old XP computer lying around, it should have enough horsepower to run Linux. Or you can do what I did for Mrs. Old Farmer and give her 2 hard drives. Boot one way, it's Windows 10. The second hard drive she can boot to is a Linux operating system. Both are on her desktop computer. Her laptop is strictly Linux. If you want to try Linux without installing, you can download the distro version and burn a disk, or put it on a thumb drive. Then when you want to try things out, boot to your Linux storage device. It's very limited, but you can at least get the feel for Linux. In the past, I've been saying to start with either Debian or Fedora distributions. I am now adding what I have, which is Linux Mint. Linux is divided into 2 camps. Those distributions that are based off of Debian, and those that are based off of Fedora. Linux Mint is based upon Debian through Ubuntu. What it means for the most part is how you install the programs on the operating system. If you have room for a second hard drive, put one in, or learn how to divide your hard drive so as to make it 2 virtual drives. Then set the save defaults on your various programs to default to the second drive. If a virus hits your machine, reloading the operating system and the various software is quicker than having to try and restore your files. Also, back up your files. That's a must-do also. The way I do things is that the software is on one disk, and my files are on another. The second disk starts with master, and then every file I make is a subgroup of master. This is true for all my files. I don't save anything where the software or operating system says to save it. Why? Because a virus will know where your files are, changing the path, and a virus may not find it. Also, if need be, all I have to do is copy master to a storage system, and I know all my created files will be copied. I don't have to go through folder after folder finding things. I have under masters, graphics, audio, manuals, documents, and then a folder for saving from a specific program. In fact, most folks don't run virus protection on their Linux computers. So far, there are not any viruses that are hitting the Linux desktop. So on my main drive, it's a solid-state 1 terabyte drive. I have all my programs on it, and also the operating system. On a second drive, I have my desktop and my profile. Inside this profile, I have a directory called Master. Inside this directory is where I save everything. You could label each directory for the files you create in a particular software, or what I do is save to the topic or object of the file that I'm creating. You will see at the same level as Master some additional directories. These are temporary directory for some programs that need a specific temporary directory to process data. The last place I would ever save a file is where the software tells me to. If ransomware could lock my computer, which I don't think it could, before they realize that I'm not paying, I will have the operating system reinstalled, along with all the programs. In other words, about 2 hours later, I am up and running again. How? Because I have backed up my operating system settings that will automatically reset to my parameters, the computer. Then I can pretend to haggle with them to let the G-men trace the connections back to their location. Hopefully, before we're done haggling, they will be willing to pay me to get me off their backs. If the big boys want to break into your computer bad enough and your computer is connected to the internet, they can break in. The goal is to make it so that all the effort they would have to go through just isn't worth it. It's different for the Department of Defense. I'm nobody with nothing worth stealing on my computer. I don't even keep an identity on my computer or any financial information. It's completely different for the Department of Defense. For your computer, I would remove all identification from it. No real names, just usernames. If you do your finances on your computer, keep the actual records on a removable drive. Don't use your financial accounts to label things. So instead of having something like Chase checking account XXXX, create a code name for the account even though you do not have any financial data stored on your hard drive. Maybe instead of calling it Chase checking account XXXX, call it Sal's Poker Budget. Sal stands for Salesman P. Chase, the Treasury Secretary for Abraham Lincoln. Figure out your own reference codes. On the removable drive, you will have all the things you need, such as the account numbers, contact phone numbers for the account. So if you need to contact the bank or institution, the information is readily available, and you don't have to look up any contact information. If you keep your passwords in a handy something, label the book or whatever something else, such as Christmas cookie recipes, and transpose your passwords. Or you could call it golfing tournament records passwords. Then transcode them with something you may remember, such as your street address for when you were a child. In other words, the codes don't work unless you do some math with a childhood street number and address, or whatever you want to use as your reference. Then you might be safe enough to stop anyone below the level of the CIA from hacking your material or data. I have noticed that software is not getting easier to use, but more political in how it operates. This is the Applethink getting in the way of things. Let software developers know that when they mess things up, you don't like it. But do so with courtesy and decorum. Go to their forums and politely let them know. I have subscribed to several forums explaining problems that should be fixed. I say up front, my voice is neutral, I'm not speaking with anger, but things are not getting easier but appear to be more political with Applethink sneaking into decisions. If I wanted to use Apple, I would buy Apple. I use Linux because it's solid and less arguing. But now I see some steps taken backwards that make my work harder to do because of non-technical decisions that are getting in the way of things. Could these things please be undone so that I do not have to spend hours and hours trying to figure out how to undo some of these things? Font sizes, scroll bar sizes, arrows or no arrows are some of the things where decisions have been made that make things harder for many of us. Let's put these things into an appearance window that can be easily adjusted at the operating system level. And then with each program, we can either set specific attributes or use the system default settings that you have set up. I then end with thanking them for their time. I don't care if they publish this or not. It will go around to the folks writing code, though. It's harder to send a few dollars to something that is making things harder to do, and the Linux people may be forgetting that the easier the software, the more the dollars flow. So now that I have rambled on a bit, let's do a couple of quick fixes for Firefox. Firefox is a web browser and is one of the most popular browsers for surfing the net. To start things out, these hacks should be able to be done in all operating systems because we're not actually going to go under the hood. Before we get started, you have the final decision on what will be done with your computer. Each computer is different, so if something goes wrong, it is your fault, not mine. Remember that. I am not telling you what to do, but I'm showing something that can be done, if appropriate for your computer. Firefox used to offer your home page when opening a new tab. That is, not clicking on a link that opens a new tab, but opening one for a new search feature or whatever you want to do. You open the tab because you want to do something, not clicking on a link that opens a tab. Opening a new tab without clicking a link should open your home page. Now with these later versions of Firefox, you only have the choice of a blank page or Firefox's home page. To me, this is a bad attitude because it used to open your home page. So here is how to fix this problem. Go to Add-ons and find New Tab Home Page and install it. In my world, this is a step backwards caused with all the Apple people getting in the way of things, and they're kind of messing things up. But New Tab Homepage will fix this particular problem. Let me clarify one point. If Apple Think would stay with Apple, I wouldn't have a thing to say, but they are spreading out and polluting non-Apple software and operating systems. This I do not appreciate, and I feel I have the right to complain. If you get a new high-definition monitor such as a 4K screen, the font will be smaller than the fine print in a contract. This fix will adjust the font size for the browser. Firefox has the usual preferences that you can adjust. In Firefox, preferences are called settings. In Windows and Linux, the button is under Edit, or use the 3 horizontal bars in the upper right corner to make changes. Now to fix the size of the text on Firefox. We can do it 2 different ways. We can set a zoom size for text, or we can set font sizes. To fix the font size in a Firefox browser, go to the General Settings. You will see Language and Appearance. You can either set a zoom factor size for the text only, or set the fonts and font size. For my 4K screen, I set fonts at 20. Firefox will set default fonts that are available, but you can change them if you wish to a different font. What you are doing with these adjustments is using software switches to change settings. The power switch on your computer is a hard switch. I think we have done enough for now. Drop a note to the operating system creators and to the programs you use and tell them what you like and what you don't like. Let them know that if they want to change something, then put a soft switch in somewhere that will allow us to change it back to what we had before, or to the system settings. If you are in Linux, don't forget to send a few dollars to the creators of the software you use. Impress on them that soft keys can help a whole bunch. For instance, with me, I do a lot of scrolling and use the up and down arrows on the scroll bar to do a slow scroll. Many operating systems are taking this feature off their software, so I need to figure out how to put them back. Well, that's about it for now. Later on, I'll give a few more hacks that could make your life on a computer a little easier. Before we go, let me say that we have had about 5,000 views last month, so folks are watching. Thank you. For those of you who subscribed, you are sincerely appreciated. As to those who ring the bell, leave a comment, and give either a thumbs up or down, again, thank you, and thank you to all of you. Well, this is the old farmer Scott Boehm. Be well. Be safe.
Don't forget to click like and click subscribe on the Old Farmer YouTube channel, and thanks again for watching. Bye.
The VFW National Home for Children, providing families of veterans and active duty military opportunities for growth and development in a nurturing community. Please consider a donation to help their children and families. I.C. Rhodes speaking.